I want to say good evening. Thank you so much for joining us. We really appreciate your time. I'm Allison Barker. I'm one of the learner concierges. My role is to provide you with a direct point of contact on our campus, should you have any questions or need any assistance. Today, I have three special guests to join me. They are Heidi, who is a learner concierge, Sarah, our enrollment concierge, and the director, Dr. Martinez. Our goal is to provide you with vital information about our online Master of Science in Kinesiology, specializing in sport management. Please feel free to ask any questions. However, we do ask that you wait until the end of the presentation. Okay, COSMA accreditation. This means that the MD Kinesiology, the specialization in sport management graduate program, is accredited by the Commission on Sport Management Accreditation. The program is designed to prepare the graduate students for careers regarding the business and managerial aspects of sport and recreation. Being COSMA accredited shows the excellence of this program and also the school's advancement of academic quality. Now, I would like to introduce to you Dr. Martinez. He will explain the processes and also the structure of this online program.
Information. So Dr. Martinez serves as the director of online programs for the School of Kinesiology and with the specialization in sport management. So Dr. Martinez primarily conducts research within the human resource management function of sports organizations. His research has examined the areas of an internal marketing and organizational learning and applied management practices in sport, as well as organizational commitment among various subsects of employees within the school context. Additionally, he has published manuscripts exploring the benefits of intercollegiate athletics and sports education. His contact information is below, and we will also be able to provide you with that when you reach out directly to Sarah, our EC right there. So when you reach out to her, she can give you his contact information as well. So don't feel like you have to rush to write everything down. We'll be able to share that information with you if you reach out to us.
Thank you, Heidi.
Absolutely.
Alrighty, LSU is the only public university in Louisiana ranked in top tier by U.S. News and World Report. LSU is Louisiana's flagship university. It is among the elite 1% of all research universities as an MC and a space grant institution. It is a university with a strong academic reputation that attracts world-renowned. The same faculty that teach our on-campus programs also teaches our online programs. LSU is one of only 8 universities in the nation with elite programs. Diploma will say Louisiana State University, A&M. There is no distinction between the on-campus and online diploma.
A little bit about LSU Online. LSU Online has been designed to be accessible, flexible, and also to offer accelerated 7-week courses and the ability to study anywhere. After each course, the student has a 1-week break. LSU Online gives the student the chance to continue in their careers while earning their degrees. Online learning continues to be embraced by academic leaders and faculty who are focusing on pedagogical innovation, active learning approaches, as well as using adaptive learning tools and technologies.
Well, I will read over the program structure. It's a 12-month to 24-month program structure with 36 credit hours. There are 12 courses in total, and you can take these over 2 courses or 1 per term. There is no residency required. Of course, it's COSMA accredited in sport management. world-renowned faculty and staff, including Dr. Martinez, who is unfortunately having technical difficulties. They all teach our online classes and on campus. So you're getting the same excellent flagship faculty that teach here for your online courses. Focus on interdepartmental collaboration across LSU campus through human resources, the business school, and as well as the education department. So the course topics include organizational behavior and theory, finance, social issues, and law. We have an expansive alumni network and world-class professors.
Great. I'm Mike Martinez, and I'm the director of the program. So thank you for everybody who has attended today, and also thank you for, keep bearing with us as we go through these technical difficulties. But just to kind of reiterate in terms of what Heidi was mentioning about our program, one of the things that we pride ourselves on is that we deliver a flagship education in a flexible format. And then what we mean by that from a flexibility standpoint is really important for our online students because they can complete the program in as little as a year if you take 2 courses every term, or if you would basically don't skip a term and take 1 class every term, then you'll end up going the full 24 months. The way that our courses are set up, there are no prerequisites, which means that there isn't any course that you have to have before another one. And since we have rolling admission, students can start at any point in time, and as long as it works with their schedule. Can everybody still hear me?
Sorry, you just
Yes.
out for a second.
Okay. So basically, what I'm hinting at here is that you can take the program in as little as 12 months and as much as 24 months. And then if you can go to the next slide, I can kind of talk a little bit more. I don't think I have control over it. Okay, so just in terms of some questions that most students have, it revolves around okay, I somehow you could see me now, so hopefully that works out. All right. I had to click around a couple things, but anyway, just to kind of touch base and follow up on a lot of questions that students have is what does it take to get into the program? So the way that our program is set up, just like every other program within LSU Online from a graduate level, is we do have to abide by the graduate school's requirements. So what that means is you have to have obviously a bachelor's degree from an accredited U.S. university or some equivalent if you're an international student. GPA of 3.0 or above on all undergraduate work, that's the minimum. And then in terms of the last half degree, which people call the last 60 hours, you may have heard, you definitely want to have a 3.0 on that if for some reason you don't have a 3.0 overall. The goal is we want to see improvement in your academic progression down the road because or in the later stages. And the reason for that being is we don't want to put you in a situation where you will be unsuccessful in terms of taking the program. Because we obviously understand that this is an investment on your part, not only an investment of your time and money, but also just from your career perspective in terms of what you want to do. So those are the graduate school requirements, and then the requirement of a GRE. Programmatic, we'd like to have 3 letters of recommendation. Preferably these need to be from employers and faculty. The purpose of those letters of recommendation are speaking to the aptitude of you being able to complete a master's degree program. So that in those instances, it's not a good idea in terms of having a friend or relative do it, just because there may be less bias from that perspective, and they can't really speak to your academic preparation. You do need to have a statement of purpose for our program. The idea behind that is we want to know how we fit in with you in your future career in terms of whether this is an advancement of your career. We have some students who are already working in the industry and want to move on. move up, or this could be a change of career in terms of what you're doing. Maybe you're deciding that a career change is in your best option. So that could be an option too. And then optimally, if you were looking from a GRE score perspective, we want to shoot for 295, 285, 295, 290, all those things will sort of work for us. There is the opportunity for a GRE waiver that works with our program. And the idea behind that is that those who have industry experience, but also have the GPA, are eligible to do that, provided that they have strong letter recommendation. They can write the statement of purpose. When we look at 3 years of demonstrated experience, essentially the optimal would be full-time experience. But one of the benefits of sport management is we have transferable skills, which means if you have abilities, say in communications or marketing or accounting and finance, things from those natures in a general business setting, sometimes we can translate some of those things into what we do from sport. So we're looking at a combination of 3 years documented experience, and then those will allow you to be eligible for a waiver review, but just be aware that that's not automatic. The key, however, is going to be the GPA still. As I mentioned earlier, the goal is for us to put you in a good situation to complete the program and to meet those minimum university standards. That's the closest you kind of want to get to from that perspective. I think if you can go to the next slide, that'd be great. So, excuse me, I'm also overcoming a cold, so I apologize for coughing from that perspective. But this is one of our students, Brian Fleury. He actually was like many of you, who was a high school coach. Actually, he was a former professional hockey player, high school coach as well, just wanted to advance his career. And one of the things that he really focused on and enjoyed from our program is the ability to have a sense of community. And what we mean by that is the ability for you to interact and kind of get the university experience while you're not on campus. So from that perspective, one thing that I would mention is that higher education, especially graduate education, and in particular online education, is something that you will get as much out of it as you put into it. So one of the reasons I believe that Brian also had a good experience is he took advantage of those opportunities. He met with and talked with people over through group projects, people from different time zones, different states. And we have some of those things built into our program. So, his comment in terms of the actual community aspect of it, where it made you not feel isolated, I think speaks to not only his intention to be engaged, but also some of the abilities that we're able to do from a program perspective through courses and through other activities. Now, on the next slide, you'll see a quote from one of our on-campus professors who also teaches online, Dr. Kwame Ajiman. He teaches our social issues in sport class and also governance and policy. And when we had mentioned earlier in terms of the same faculty teach the classes in person and online, Dr. Ajman's a good example of that. This is a quote that he has from his course in terms of the social issues in sport. For those of you who either have taken sport management courses before or just understand and have an understanding of the sport industry, society is able to be mirrored in terms of what we do from a sport perspective. And one of the goals that we have from our program perspective is not just for you to advance your career through the practical application, but also to cause you to think differently and to kind of develop that critical thinking skill that is important as you advance on it. So this is one of those an example of how we approach that within our classes. And then I believe the next slide. And I could touch a little at that, but I think someone else will kind of take control from this perspective. But just to kind of reiterate, this is a program that I believe works well for those who are seeking to advance their careers, because especially from an online perspective, we can work with you flexibility. We do have some practical application in terms of our courses, and I'd be happy to answer questions towards the end of this.
And I would like to reiterate on our fact sheet that you must complete this program in 5 years. The tuition is $639 per credit hour. No residency required. There's 36 credit hours in the program. It is $23,004 for the full program. So there are non-refundable application fees, $50 for U.S. citizens and permanent residents, and then $70 for all other applicants. Our graduation fee is $35 and the processing fee is $20. We are definitely veteran and military friendly, as well as we offer disability services as well.
All right, guys. Can you hear me?
Yes.
Yes.
Awesome. So I'm so glad we're all connected now. So we want to talk with you a little bit about what's happening second spring. I'm sure every one of you sees that $50 and goes, woohoo! So only available to students starting in second spring 2019, that's the March 11th start date, will be able to take advantage of this $50 per credit hour for your first class in that term. So if you're planning on taking 2 courses, you will pay full price for your second class, but you will pay only the $150 for your first class in second spring. Each class is 3 credit hours, of course, which totals the $150 I just mentioned. If you guys have further questions about that, please reach out to Sarah. She is your enrollment concierge. She can tell you a little bit more about how that works and everything. We can move on unless there are questions in the chat section that we need to answer about that.
Would you like for me to go on, Heidi? Or?
Absolutely.
Okay, sure. We have contact numbers listed that will be very useful to you while you are in the process of applying to this program. So the numbers that you see here are people, well, different departments that you will be working closely with when you're applying to LSU Online.
I'll go ahead and step in here. And one of the things that I think we are trying to do, I think I'm muted. Hold on one second.
No, I can hear you.
We can
Okay,
hear
so
you, we can hear you.
I had to sneeze, so I muted myself, and then okay. So I apologize for that. But anyway, one thing that we're trying to do, and this kind of speaks to the larger thing in terms of our sense of community standpoint. So just this spring, we actually started our LSU Sport Management Twitter account. So that is, there's a couple purposes of that. The primary thing is we want to have that as an engaging opportunity for both our on-campus and our online students in terms of some of the things that, goes on within our program on a daily basis, or maybe with some of our alumni. So if you haven't had the chance yet, please go ahead and look up, or if you're on Twitter and active on there, feel free to sign up. It's LSU Sport MGT. And as we kind of continue to manage that from a different perspective, we should be able to have the opportunity to kind of incorporate some other things that we're doing. And this is where we'll also post eventual activities that we hope to have to engage our online students, who maybe down the road decide to come to a football game or decide to come to a basketball game. There's things that we can do there. Thank you.
This slide is just letting you know that you do have enrollment concierges available to you. Courtney Kirchner is available mostly during the daytime, and then I'm here through the evenings, and we have some overlap. We encourage you to email us and call us. Let us know how we can help you begin the process, and we will help you all the way through until you've successfully completed your application process. And learner concierges such as Heidi and Allison here today will help you on and beyond that. Although this is what we always say, We don't require you to ever come to LSU, but we look forward to seeing you at graduation if it's all possible to have you come join us and walk.
So are there any program, I guess, specific questions that anybody in the audience has?
All right, guys, I'm actually unmuting all of you. So if you have questions, feel free to scream out. Unless you guys go back and mute yourselves.
And just to reiterate, and I'm not sure if it was, I think it was on one of the slides, but you know, you could always feel free to even email me if you have any questions. It's jmmartinez@lsu.edu, and I'd be happy to kind of get back in terms of any specific questions you might have, whether it depends on you know, maybe the understanding the GRE perspective or other aspects from that.
Hey, Rebecca, I see you on here.
Hi.
See your name.
Hi.
Yeah, I'm so glad you had a chance to hop on and learn a little more.
Yeah.
You guys feel free, you know how to contact all of us, but feel free to put questions in the little chat box. We can answer specific questions to the program. Especially that's what Dr. Martinez is here for today, is to help us understand more about the program.
Dr. Martinez, did you want to anything else, or is there anything that you wanted to reiterate, something that maybe a potential student can, you know, use while they're applying to your program?
Yeah, that's fine. So I guess, and I did notice some of the names in terms of application, people who have applied. So I think the one thing that I forgot to highlight earlier, and sometimes this applies, especially with online students, is be sure that you get transcripts from every institution you've attended. Even if you've only taken one class as an undergraduate, at the end of the day, LSU, the graduate school, is going to want to have all of those official transcripts. So be aware of that. And then, as I mentioned before, just, you know, kind of, you know, feel free to ask me questions, but if there's a bit of advice I can give you, and this is going to be unsolicited advice, but I usually mention this to everybody else, consider what your current job situation is. In terms of when you want to kind of start the program, and then kind of get into it. And the reason I say that is this, is since we have 7-week modules, it's very intensive in terms of the content that you're learning. So you have to be very organized and very time management oriented in terms of things that you need. So if by chance you're a coach, and this is your in season and you haven't taken online classes before, you may want to just try one class out first. Or if you want to take 2 classes, then definitely be aware halfway through if you're kind of on the borderline of one other one. We do have capabilities of you to maybe take a withdrawal from that moment on. I'm not saying that you have to do that, but it's better for you to kind of get, in terms of just acclimated to our program and things of what you want to do from that perspective. So there's a question about letters of recommendation. I would definitely let them know that we want it sooner rather than later. We can work with that without it, like in terms of that specific deadline. But it's just easier for you to kind of get that going. And if they're like me, they're going to write the letter on February 10th. So if you tell them February 11th or you tell them February 21st, they'll probably get it there. So I would go ahead and do that. But from that perspective, I mean, just I had mentioned, you know, consider kind of where you are in terms of what you want to do, you know, see how it kind of fits in with your program. And then, you know, at some point in time, you'll figure out whether this is something you want to do, even if you're on the fence. But, you know, the sooner you get started, the better it's going to be. And then you just sort of kind of think from that perspective. Especially in the courses that I teach, one thing that I try to focus on is how does this course apply for you down the road? You know, I'll always be happy to answer questions, even if it's not course related in terms of future direction and stuff. My background is in college athletics. So I used to work at the University of Southern Mississippi in the athletic department. And then a long time ago, I was a sports writer. So I kind of have some background and industry experience in terms of some of the things that we're doing. But as you decide to get into the program, be sure to don't isolate yourself from what you're doing. Talk to the people who are going through this with you. Lean on them for support. Ask them questions, especially those that have been in the program before you have, because you never know. Maybe somewhere down the line, someone's going to say, I'm in this industry, and one of my friends, they're searching for someone who is a marketing communications person. And I remember back that John Smith was in my class doing this. Let me reach out to him. That's just a networking thing that you're able to do within our own program. And then hopefully when things, move on with us as faculty and also with other students from on campus as well.
I did want to piggyback a little bit off of Dr. Martinez when he spoke about support services. LSU does offer, support services academics-wise to their students as well. So I did want to let you all know that. Heidi, did you?
Yeah, you all can follow up with the information you have on the screen that we'll be sending to you. So if questions come to you later or during the application process and beyond, just reach back out to us. We're here to help you.
Yeah, and just as I mentioned before, don't hesitate to ask questions from our end. I'm not the best from an office phone number perspective just because of the way that I work in some areas, but email is the best way to contact me. But if there's not a question if there's a question I don't know the answer to, I'm going to reach out to Heidi, Sarah, and Allison. If there's a question that they don't know the answer to, they'll reach out to me, and then we'll do what we can to kind of get you acclimated from that perspective.
Absolutely.
All right, then. Well, I guess we'll go ahead and close out this webinar. We do appreciate you all joining us. And again, please forgive us for these technical difficulties that we have experienced. You all please enjoy the rest of your evening. Again, thank you.
All right, thank you.
Go Tigers! Thank you, Dr. Martinez.
Yes.
Oh, you're welcome. Sorry about all my issues before. I don't know what it was. I tried calling in.